So I just played Shinobi for the first time. Let's talk about it. So here's a fun fact. I recently have never played a Master System game until just now. In fact, I just added my Sega Master System to my collection, about a month or so ago. And I figured what better way to try out the Master System for the first time than with Shinobi, an all-time Sega classic. This game originally hit arcades in 1987, and Sega brought it home to their Master System not too long after. It's a classic ninja side-scroller, complete with masked thugs, hostage rescues, and ninja magic, but the real question is, in 2025, is it still worth playing? Shinobi pretty much hooked me right away, to be perfectly honest. The gameplay is pretty simple, but really satisfying at the same time. The main premise of the game is to rescue all these children that were kidnapped by some big crime syndicate or something along those lines. The game itself actually doesn't do a whole lot to let you know the story behind it, but like all old retro games, if you have the manual, that's where you actually find the story. The controls were really tight. In fact, I was actually very surprised on how much I liked the Sega Master System's controls, especially with this game, because you could use a lot of like diagonal movements, and the controller lent itself to that really well. It has like these little knobs in the corner, so you could kind of feel around and know that you're crouching and walking in a diagonal movement. And maybe it was just because it was my first Master System game that I've played, but I was really surprised at how smooth the controls felt in this one. I was never a big fan of the Sega Genesis controller. I always felt it a little loose and kind of clunky, to be honest. So it was really to my surprise that the Master System controller felt way better, and almost like the Genesis one kind of took a step back. Once you understand the gameplay loop, Shinobi isn't really that difficult of a game. You save hostages and, defeat all the enemies. One of the things that I found was really kind of, I don't know, maybe odd, was the lack of pickups. You could do stuff like increase your weapons, or get different weapons, I should say. You could increase your life bar and replenish your health, but you didn't do it through health drops. They would just kind of happen, which almost felt random in different parts of the levels. But as you played it over and over again, you realize things like replenishing your health happens in a certain part of the level. I don't even know if you really had to accomplish something to make it happen, but so that was a kind of a weird thing with this game. One thing I did appreciate, though, was the simplicity of your weapons and whatnot. So the game would automatically know if you were far away from an enemy and you hit the attack button, it would shoot your projectile, whichever one you might have. And then if you were close up, that's when it would use your close range weapon, whether it was a nunchucks or a staff, or you would just, kick. And I thought that was a really unique, simplistic way of implementing these controls. The game is also not cheap at all. There's a pattern to the entire game. So if you know what's coming up, it's pretty easy to remember what's coming up in front of you and avoiding either projectiles or making the jump at the right time in order to progress in this game. And after repeating some of the levels over and over again, it becomes very, very manageable. I wouldn't say it's a walk in the park, but it's not as brutal as like an arcade game or something like Ninja Gaiden or any of those that you're used to. And in a weird way, that kind of makes it more inviting to revisit today. Now, one of the more interesting features in Shinobi is the ninja magic. You earn by competing in these like first-person bonus stages where you throw ninja stars at these incoming ninjas. It's a cool change of pace, and once you get your timing down, those become quite easy, and you can really, really stack up the ninja power that is up for debate whether it's really useful or not. You can go through this entire game with not ever using it. In fact, there was plenty of times where I forgot I even had it. One of the downsides to the ninja magic is you had to hold in the jump button and then hit the other button in order to actually activate it, but it was super awkward because holding the jump button would make you jump. So in a place where you thought you might want to use it, you would jump into a projectile by accident or jump in a place that you didn't really want to, all while you were trying to activate your magic. So honestly, I just didn't use it. The boss fights in this one were surprisingly, I would say, kind of simple. Each one does have a clear pattern, and if you study, you can adapt to it pretty quickly. There was a couple of the bosses where I beat it on the first time around with really not much trouble and not even having to really learn the pattern. Some of them I just spammed the attack button right next to them and was able to defeat it pretty easy. But I don't think it really took away from the overall experience of the game. One thing that was kind of a huge disappointment, and this is going to be a little spoiler here, if you're looking for some kind of epic ending or even a confirmation of what happens at the end of the story, there's none. What you get is, once you defeat the final boss, is literally just a screen that says the end, which to me was very disappointing. One of the big things about finishing some of these old retro games especially was trying to figure out or guess what the ending was going to look like, what they're going to give you, and this gave you none of that. No credits, no nothing, just the end, and you could start the game over. But with all that said, is Shinobi worth playing today? If you're new to the Master System or new to this series, I would say it is an excellent place to start. It's not overbearing, it's not too difficult, it's not NES hard, and it's just kind of a nice, relaxing, fun playthrough of a game. And you can get super good at this game and probably finish it in sub 30 minutes, even without being like a super speedrunner or anything. All in all, I really enjoyed it, and I could see it as one of those games that I would just pick up and play just to do so. As my first dive into the Sega Master System, it was definitely a solid introduction. I didn't expect to finish it in just a few sittings, but it definitely was an absolute ton of fun, and it makes me kind of really excited to check out the rest of the Master System library. If you're like me and had never dove into the Master System before, this is a great way to do so. It's an inexpensive game. I think I paid like $30 for a complete in-box copy, but there are a number of ways you can get your hands on this to check it out, and I definitely recommend anybody that's curious to do so. Yeah, I think it's a great little title, and maybe this is one of the better ones to start with. Well, that's my take on Shinobi for the Sega Master System. If you like what we're doing here, please consider liking, subscribing, all that other kind of fun YouTube stuff. That's it for this one. We'll see you in the next video. Late.